Meeting.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular board meeting for Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025. I want to welcome everybody who's joined us in the room tonight, as well as everybody who's joined us online. So we'll start our meeting tonight with our land acknowledgement, and the Rainbow District School Board would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Anishinaabeg, including Atikameksheng, Anishinaabeg, and the Wahnapitae nations. We would like to acknowledge that we are situated within the within the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850, and want to recognize the inherent rights of the Anishinaabeg that maintain these lands for time immemorial. And we'll start tonight's meeting off with the roll call. Director Bourget.
Trustee Dubosky.
Present.
Trustee Farrell.
Present.
Trustee Gibson.
Present.
Trustee Cosmely.
Present.
Trustee McCauley.
Present.
Trustee Dewar.
Present.
Trustee Hunda.
Present.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
Present.
Trustee Clement.
Present.
Student Trustee Nuchtai.
Present.
And Student Trustee Wilson-Ziegel.
Present.
Thank you, Director. So we'll start our meeting tonight with our first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. So I'll need a mover and a seconder that the agenda of the regular board meeting of June 10th, 2025 be approved. That's moved by Trustee McCauley and seconded by Trustee Corbier-Addison, sorry. I have to enunciate my words better tonight. I'm having trouble already. Any questions about the agenda? Anything to add? All good? Then we'll go to the vote. Director, please.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrell.
In favor?
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmely.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
In favor.
Student Trustee Nuchtai.
In favor.
And Student Trustee Wilson-Ziegel.
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Director. I'll ask, are there any preliminary declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to Section C of our agenda presentation, and I'll turn the mic over to Director Bourget. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. Trustees, we have a very special opportunity this evening to share our appreciation for our student trustees. Tia Nuchtai of Lockerbie Composite School and Alexandra Wilson-Ziegel of Manitoulin Secondary School. Our student trustees joined us around the board table after serving on the Student Senate in grade 11. They co-chaired the Student Senate in this current school year, including the excellent Stand Up Speak Out conference held this spring to foster student leadership in our schools. As Indigenous student trustee, Tia Nuchtai also served as chair of the Indigenous Student Trustees Council for the Ontario Student Trustee Association. Tia is graduating from the Science Technology Education program called STEP at Lockerbie Composite School. She's made an immense contribution to her school as a member of the Student Council, the Athletic Association, and the Planning Committee. In addition, she's been involved in a number of sports, including cross-country running, track and field, badminton, and volleyball. A former Miss Teen Greater Sudbury and Miss Ontario Regional Canada, she has hosted confidence and leadership building workshops for girls across the province. When she assumed the role of Indigenous Student Trustee, Tia emphasized the importance of getting involved. She said, "Being involved in your school community creates relationships amongst peers and develops life skills." And she added, "Education is what empowers the next generation of leaders. Student voice is the voice of the future." Tia will attend the University of Ottawa this fall. She's enrolled in the Bachelor of Social Sciences with a joint honors in Feminist Gender Studies and Political Science. And she would welcome an opportunity to continue her studies later on in graduate school in the master's or PhD programs. She's left her options open for possible career paths, including law, public and international relations, federal politics, the UN in New York, and real estate. By her own account, she's excited for her future and can't wait to see where life takes her. She says, "I want to talk to people and make the world a better place." Tia, we thank you for your service to the board, and you are well on your way to making the world a better place. Alexandra Wilson-Ziegel has demonstrated leadership skills throughout her years as a student at Manitoulin Secondary School. In recognition of her efforts, she was recently awarded a TD Scholarship for Community Leadership. TD Scholarships for Community Leadership recipients receive up to $70,000 for tuition and living expenses as well as opportunities for paid summer employment, peer networking, and mentorship. Sincere congratulations, Alexandra, and we certainly join you in expressing our gratitude to TD for making this scholarship possible. As a resident of Gore Bay, Alexandra has a long list of school accomplishments and community involvement to her credit, both locally and provincially. During the current school year, she served as the Northern Schools Regional Representative for the Ontario Student Trustees Association. She's been involved in many extracurricular activities at Manitoulin, currently the captain of the robotics team. She's taken on leadership roles in the Student Council and the Share Go Green, and writes a weekly column about school events in the local newspaper. She's enrolled in the school's specialist high skills major in arts and culture, and she also authored a children's book, which we featured in previous board meetings, called Robo Friends and the Mo Zone, that promotes robotics and environmental sustainability. Last summer, she attended the prestigious SHAD Canada program, and she's been playing hockey for the Gore Bay Bruins since she was 4 years old. She says, involvement in school life enriches the student experience and provides a broader platform for learning. Adding, joining extracurriculars, exploring new concepts in class, and actively developing learning strategies have kept me invested in my education and motivated me to make a difference. Being engaged in teams teaches students invaluable transferable skills like teamwork, commitment, and responsibility. Very well said. Alexandra will attend McMaster University in the fall. Enrolled in Wilson College's new Leadership and Civic Studies program, she will complete a double major in political science. Wilson College's Leadership and Civics program is Canada's only combined honors degree that will engage students in real-life issues. Students learn to think critically and creatively about our collective future. Alexandra has her sights set on law school after she completes her undergraduate degree, and she plans to pursue a career in government and advocacy. We thank you very much, Alexandra, for your service to the board. Trustees, we wish both of our trustees continued success as they graduate and move forward on their chosen pathways. Chair Farrell, I'd like to invite you to please come forward along with our student trustees. I have something for you. We will take a photo as you present a watch to our student trustee, Tia Nuchtai, and Alexandra Wilson-Ziegel in recognition and appreciation for having served on the board so admirably. Thank you both.
And once again, sincere congratulations and thank you to you both for your service to the Rainbow District School Board. And we look forward to hearing about the great things you're going to do to make our world a much better place. So wonderful job. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, report from closed meeting. We have none. So we'll go to old business. We have a set of minutes that we need to approve. So I'll need a mover and a seconder that the minutes of the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, May the 20th, 2025 be approved. Moved by Trustee Dewar and seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Any errors or omissions anybody would want to bring up at this time? Seeing none, we will call the question. Director, please.
Trustee Clement,
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison,
In favor.
Trustee Dabowski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor.
Trustee Farrell,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor.
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly,
In favor.
Trustee McCauley,
In favor.
Student Trustee Newchtai,
In favor.
and Student Trustee Wilson Ziegel.
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Director. We move on to reports and recommendations from board committees. Under Strategic Planning Committee, electronic meetings, we have a motion. We'll need a mover and a seconder that the changes to the Governance Bylaw 14, electronic meetings, as attached, be approved. So moved by Trustee Clement and seconded by Trustee McCauley. Questions, comments? Trustee Gibson.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to talk briefly about whether what we're presenting complies with Ontario Regulation 463-97, which is the policy on electronic meetings and meeting attendance. The regulation that I just referred to requires a policy on electronic meetings, not a bylaw clause. The regulation states, quote, "Every board shall develop and implement a policy providing for the use of electronic means for the holding of meetings," and it goes on. So I just wanted to point that out and say that I think we need to respect the legislation that governs us, even though we might not always appreciate it or even like it. And in this case, a policy is the legal requirement, and there's a clear distinction between a bylaw and a policy. And I can't support this amendment until we develop a comprehensive policy, and then any bylaw amendments would come out of that policy document, which would guide us to make the correct bylaw amendments. So I will not be supporting this amendment. There is more work to be done, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gibson. Any further comments? Sorry, online. Trustee Hunda, please, go ahead.
No, that was to move a motion. It's
Oh,
an
okay.
old hand.
It's legacy hand, okay.
Yeah.
Any further comments or questions? Trustee Dewar, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I will be supporting the motion. I think I've read it many times over and over. I think it's very well written, it's succinct, and I think it's a good governance bylaw. And as such, I will be supporting it because of the content.
Thank you, Trustee Dewar. I'm just going to look one more time, Trustee Gibson, if there's anybody else who's a comment, and I'll come back to you. Trustee Cosmley, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I too will be supporting this bylaw. It was drafted, it is in compliance with the Act. It does reflect everything that is under the regulation, and it was drafted using the OPSPA template, which was provided. First level of in the delegation of authority is to the Act, and we do comply with the Act. So it doesn't really matter if we choose to call it a bylaw or if we choose to make it a policy. That is our choice. So we are not going against the Act in any way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Cosmley. I'll look once again if there's any other comments from trustees before I go back to Trustee Gibson. Seeing none, Trustee Gibson, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair Farah. I just wanted to add for information that the language in this bylaw is actually almost exactly what I submitted as a quick example, a conversation starter to show how we might, to illustrate, it was for illustrative purposes, to illustrate how we might begin to shift things like this from bylaw to policy, as we had been advised by the parliamentarian that we had a session with earlier in November, I think it was 2023. So it's not directly from the OPSPA draft. A lot of it is verbatim, the language that I submitted, as I said, as an example, and some of it is from the original bylaw, like the opening line. If you look at that, it says, I think, we may provide for electronic meetings. Well, the regulation is very clear. It says we shall provide for electronic meetings. So that opening line is not compliant. And that opening line is from the old bylaw. It hasn't been changed. So I'm not sure if there's some confusion about where this language has come from, but that's my language. I wrote it. And as I said, it was just as a quick example. I never dreamed that it would end up being a part of our bylaw. And I have communicated this, and I'm quite surprised that there wasn't any change to the way that it appeared on the agenda, because I would never have used that language in a bylaw. I had written that language to show policy language. So I wrote it, and I know I wrote it in policy language, and it's not written in accordance with, say, Robert's Rules guidance on writing bylaws. I mean, there's things in there that completely contradict. There's things in there that are expectations. You're expected to attend if you're the chair of a committee. Those things have no places in bylaws. They should be in policy, and that's what I wrote. I wrote a policy, and most of it is the policy example that I wrote. So I just wanted to share that information in case you think it came from the OPSPA wording, as was stated earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gibson. We'll go to Trustee McCauley.
I'm satisfied that the amendment covers everything that we have discussed over and over. I think that every I has been dotted and every T has been crossed. And at this time, I'd like to call the question.
Okay, thank you. Question has been called, Trustee Cosnerly. You seconded for Trustee, so we have a mover to move the motion forward by Trustee McCauley and seconded by Trustee Cosnerly. So I guess we will call the vote now. So go ahead, Director Bourget.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee DeBoski.
I'll abstain.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor?
Trustee Farrell.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
Opposed?
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosnerly.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
In favor?
Student Trustee Nucci.
Abstain.
Student Trustee Wilson-Ziegel.
Abstain.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Director. Move on to new business now. We have the 2025-2026 budget presentation. And I'd like to turn the floor over to Superintendent of Business, Adam Gilbo. Go ahead. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we are happy to share with you our 2025-2026 budget. Following the presentation, we will be happy to answer any questions you might have, and in accordance with our budget development plan, we will reconvene on June 24th for final approval before submitting to the ministry prior to the June 30th deadline. During that 2-week period, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions that might come to mind after tonight's meeting. To begin, we have included familiar information regarding Bill 98, the Better Schools and Students Outcomes Act, established in June of 2023, as a means of reminding everyone about the ministry's directives and some changes since we reviewed this last year. The bill remains in place and unchanged as the Supporting Children and Students Act is being tabled by the current government. Within Bill 98, there remains a clear focus on developing skills related to early reading and math, and this is reflected in the continuation of the responsive education programs that are linked to these initiatives. Job readiness also remains a focus, as evidenced by the continued supports through programs such as Specialist High Skills Major and the modernization of Ontario's secondary school diploma requirements. Dedicated funds remain in place supporting both mental health, student safety, and equity-based initiatives regarding human rights and inclusion. Special education is defined by a dedicated pillar within the core education funding, with some further details to the changes made to the special incidents portion and education and community partnership program that I will detail shortly. Student transportation funding, also defined by its own pillar within core education funding, is in the 3rd year of the new funding formula, with some changes I will also outline a little bit later in the presentation. From the capital perspective, the focus continues on building schools faster with the use of standard design models and by encouraging projects to be shovel-ready upon submission in order to speed up the approval process. We have been told that applications for capital priorities are expected to take place on a similar timeline to last year, and that the program's assessment criteria will remain unchanged. To set the stage for our 25-26 budget, we think it is important to review our board's mission, vision, and values. Here you will find what we are all very familiar with. Our mission: together we prepare students to become lifelong learners, achieving their full potential as confident, caring members of society. Our vision: We are leaders in learning, inspiring success for all students by reaching minds and touching hearts. And our values: humility, bravery, honesty, wisdom, truth, respect, love, resilience, equity, and community. Next, you will see our board priorities: student success and achievement, literacy and numeracy, truth and reconciliation, mental health and well-being, environmental education and sustainability, equity and inclusive education. As a comparison, we have included the stated ministry priorities as prescribed by Bill 98 that guide the responsive education programs we will detail later in the presentation. These include literacy, science, technology, engineering, and math, Indigenous education, French language education, supporting vulnerable students, mental health, student readiness, and operations. Now we will outline limitations set by the ministry as we go about establishing our budget. The funding provided by the ministry does allow certain flexibility that allows us to allocate funds to our greatest area of needs with the following limitations: that curriculum and programs are delivered as prescribed by ministry directives, that class size targets are met within all schools, that special education funding is spent on that very purpose, and any unspent funds be placed in a special education reserve to carry forward. That funding intended for major repairs and capital work of our school facilities be used for that purpose, and similarly, any unused funds, placed in a capital reserve. Compliance reporting remains in place along with transportation funding that ensures that this is in line with expectations. Similarly, funding for school board administration and governance shall not exceed the compliance threshold, and that the funding under responsive education programs, formerly the PPFs, must be used as prescribed. There is an expectation that budgets will balance. In the event that there is a projected deficit, the use of reserve funds can be utilized. This is limited to the lesser of the accumulated surplus balance and 1% of the board's operating revenue. Board approval is still required for this type of projected deficit, with ministry approval only required for any amount beyond these limits. The following criteria is consistent with historical board practice as to the process we undertake when initially developing the following year's budget. The current year is used as a base to build off of, maintaining programming that aligns with board and ministry priorities with the following adjustments: exclusions of any one-time budgets within the 24-25 model, adjustments necessitated by the provisions within the collective agreements, adjustments for inflationary impacts and statutory increases, and of course, the special education budget that was recommended by the Special Education Advisory Committee and recently approved at our May 20th board meeting. Here, you can see our predicted average daily enrollment for the 25-26 school year with a total figure of 14,196 ADE, approximately 108 less students than we had at revised budget in October of last year. Consistent with previous years and in line with ministry recommendations, we have been conservative with our estimates. The basis of these projections come from current year enrollment and historic retention rates with consideration given to population trends. For this year, that includes federal adjustments to the immigration policy and a province-wide reduction in junior kindergarten registrations based on information shared with us by the Ministry of Education. The following is a summary of our facilities in operation. You will recall that the reopening of Westmount Public School last year brought our elementary totals from 28 to 29, for a total of 39 active locations. You will also see a list of other programs being run by the board, some of which are housed in alternative locations outside of board ownership. Included in this is the Applied Behavior Analysis Program, which is now located within the Thornlow University building. As a reminder of the changes from the previous Grants for Students' Needs, or GSNs, I will quickly go over the 6 pillars of the core education funding. The Classroom Staffing Fund, or CSF, focuses on salaries for staff within the classroom, including teachers, early childhood educators, and some education assistants. Please note that the majority of the EAs are funded through the Special Education Fund. The Learning Resource Fund, or LRF, funds supports for staff, typically outside of the classroom, and includes librarians and library technicians, guidance counselors, and mental health workers. This also captures expenses for learning materials and classroom equipment and technology. The Special Education Fund, or SEF, funds programs, services, and equipment for students with special needs. It also includes funding for professional assessments previously provided in a PPF. The School Facilities Fund, or SFF, covers operational costs including utilities, cleaning, maintenance, repairs, renovations, and capital project work. It also houses the Rural and Northern Education Funding, or RNEF. The Student Transportation Fund, or STF, funds the board's busing and other transportation costs. The School Board Administration Fund, or the SBAF, covers all governance and administration costs outside of the school. For clarity, in-school administration, principals and vice principals are funded under the Learning Resources Fund. This allocation is for board office and trustee expenses, parent engagement activities, and audit, bargaining, and data management costs. The declining enrollment adjustment, if applicable, is also funded here. As mentioned earlier, I'd like to go over some of the changes and adjustments we have seen to the core education funding in comparison with 2024-25. The ministry, in an effort to reduce the administrative burden required under the previous claims-based process, continues student incident portion funding in 25-26 with an interim formula as they continue to work on refining a long-term approach. We do have additional details on the calculation, which includes a base amount plus a per pupil exceptional circumstances amount. When we review the details of our revenue for the upcoming school year, I will discuss the impact to our board. Within the special education pillar, changes have also taken place with the Education and Community Partnership Program. In an effort to better meet the needs of students, improve student outcomes, enhance access and the quality of education programs, and reduce the administrative burden. We currently have details on the two separate base and per pupil components, but the ministry has advised that further information will be available in the near future. The ministry has also increased their investment in the regional internal audit teams by $2 million, although we are not sure the exact impact to the Northeastern Ontario regional team, of which Rainbow is a part of. The compensation adjustments made as part of the funding announcement include increases reflecting each respective collective agreement running from 2022 to 2026, as well as the principal and vice principal terms and conditions that run from 2023 to 2027. This includes $1 per hour increases to education worker salaries, 2.5% increases to teachers, principals, and vice principals, and a net neutral change to supply teachers, where the benchmark increases are offset by the reduction of the top-up funding that was provided last year. Consistent with previous years, the ministry has provided a 2% increase to non-staff portion of school operations that boards can utilize in an attempt to combat the pressure of cost increases to utilities, commodities, insurance, and contract work. I'll also note that we are in year 2 of the 5-year introduction of the 2021 Statistics Canada census data, which affects many components of the funding model. Rainbow District School Board has not seen any substantial changes to funding as a result of this implementation. The Student Transportation Framework has seen several adjustments, including updated benchmarks to support increasing costs, funding to cover the non-refundable portion of HST, and a top-up funding that ensures each board receives at least a 2.5% increase over the previous year. From the capital perspective, the ministry has slightly increased investment in the funding allocated to School Condition Improvement, or SCI, and school renewal allocation to a total of $1.4 billion. Additionally, they have almost doubled funding for temporary accommodations, typically utilized for modular units, from $40 million to $70 million. We will go over board-specific allocations shortly. Please note, as a reminder, that there is now a time limit being enforced on funding that is announced and not spent out within a 3-year period. The following list details the responsive education programs previously known as the Priority and Partnerships Funding, or PPFs. Many of the items and amounts seen here are consistent with the last couple of years, with only a few notes. The critical physical security infrastructure, which is used to support projects that include the installation of vape sensors in school washrooms and additional cameras, enters year 2 of its 3-year commitment. You will note that the funding provided for early reading and math priorities continues in 25-26 in the same way it did during the past 2 years. The same remains true for Indigenous grad coaches and funding related to the trades, including bursaries and apprenticeship programs. Similarly, mental health and special education specific funding remains available in the upcoming year. As well, experiential learning for guidance and the transportation and stability supports for children and youth in care. The Ministry has also announced that a K-12 cybersecurity operating model will be introduced with more details to come. The announcement noted that increased funding will be provided as part of a multi-year phased approach to select boards. Here you'll see our budgeted personnel complement for 2025-26. You will note a decrease in elementary teachers and an increase in secondary teachers based on the respective predicted enrollment fluctuations we detailed earlier. Keeping in mind that the comparison column is from revised budget for 24-25, a few increases include filling what were vacancies at that time. This includes on the consultant and coordinators line, the board office line, and the student services line, the latter of which also includes one additional social worker. The additional principal is a result of the appointment at Westmount Public School, where there were previously 2 vice principals, hence the reduction on the VP line item. We have also included a 1-year contract for a principal managing Restart, O'Connor Park, PLAR, and continuing education for the 25-26 school year. The increase in system principals includes a return to having 2 administrators supporting Indigenous education and the filling of 2 partial absences through 24-25. The number of administrative assistants has increased due to the increase in secondary enrollment, and our complement of educational assistants has increased to address the needs we have in our respective schools. Finally, our number of technicians will be increasing by 1 due to a 1-year contract position, and the maintenance staff has also increased by 1 as we have recently hired a second carpenter to join the team. On this slide, we will now outline the revenue generated for the 25-26 school year and compare it to our figures at revised budget from this current year. Despite predicted enrollment coming in slightly lower than at revised, the increases to classroom staffing and learning resources are related to benchmark adjustments. The special education funding has increased based primarily on a 3% increase in the student incidence portion over the 24-25 school year. Non-staff related funding within the school facilities pillar has gone up 2%, but this figure also includes a slight decrease in the rural and northern education funding based on the census update. We are, however, expected to receive an REP that will supplement this amount in October, although the figure is not currently defined. The transportation fund I spoke to a little bit earlier has increased based on benchmark adjustments and the inclusion of the non-recoverable HST portion. Overall, we are still seeing a deficit in this funding envelope, but we remain engaged with the ministry in discussions regarding these challenges, along with the consortium and our coterminous boards. Overall, we are seeing an increase in core ed funding of approximately 2%. Capital amounts for both school renewal and school condition improvements have increased, and we have seen a significant increase in temporary accommodation funding, which has gone from $144,000 to $320,000. to assist with costs for modular units where our schools are facing accommodation pressures. Under the other column, you will note an increase in funding for both Jordan's principal and tuition through our education service agreements. Under miscellaneous, we have a slight increase in revenue based on community use and growth in interest revenue. Our projected cash balances have also allowed us to budget for the lower debt charges as seen above. The REPs we went over earlier are also displayed here with another slight increase. While most amounts have been announced, I did mention a couple that we still expect to hear about over the coming months. And finally, we look at the use of reserves and deferred revenue utilized to balance our budget. Special education is utilizing approximately $2.15 million from that specific reserve to balance that envelope budget. School focus initiatives are being utilized as prescribed from the operation of the Welcome Center, while we also expect to pull from reserves from within both the mental health and French as a second language reserves to further support our students in the 25-26 school year. You will note that the adjustment to the accumulated surplus balance is a positive or surplus balance of just over $150,000. However, with adjustments for committed capital projects, amortization, which includes our modular units we've installed over the last few years, and school budget reserve spending, our actual projected deficit from a compliance perspective for the 25 and 26 school year is $258,382. That is the amount that will be put forward for approval in 2 weeks' time, well within the 1% allowable by the ministry. Again, that deficit figure from a compliance perspective is $258,382. We will now take a look at expenses by object for the 25-26 budget. Traditionally, salaries and benefits make up 75+% of the board's expenses, and the same is true in this year. The increase you see is related to the collective agreement and non-union salary adjustments I mentioned earlier, as well as the increase in personnel of 18.2 FTE. The supplies and services increase relate to increases in costs for both the information services and facilities budget. For the former, that includes necessary costs for network security enhancements. For the latter, this includes items such as utilities, maintenance, supplies and repair costs, contracts for site maintenance, including landscaping and lawn maintenance, garbage removal, pest control, snow removal, cleaning contracts, and third-party contractors required for repair work. The transportation budget is captured within the fees and contracts portion, where we have continued to work with the ministry on optimization of routes to create savings wherever possible. Other costs include legal fees, courier contracts, audit fees, and our insurance premiums. The debt charges are associated with our loans for capital projects from the ministry and the Ontario Financing Authority, and continue to decrease as we are paying these down. And finally, the association fees include OPC, OPSPA, OPSOA, and the Student Trustee Association. Looking at the expenses by function, we can compare it to the core education funding pillars. Instruction and pupil accommodation costs are captured largely within the classroom staffing and special education funding pillars, whereas school management, student support services, and teacher support services can be found within the learning resources pillar. These increases, as mentioned previously, relate to an increase in the personnel complement and salary adjustments. This is also true for the teacher support amount, continuing education, and the administration and governance portion. As outlined in that same chart, both transportation and administration and governance are reported separately, and both are compliant and well within the limitations set by the ministry. And finally, you will see the dates established by the ministry for future financial reporting requirements. As previously mentioned, the deadline for the submission of the 25-26 budget is June 30th. I will note that boards are able to request an extension up to July 31st if required due to the timing of the funding announcement. Financial statements for the 24-25 fiscal year are due by November 14th, and revised estimates for the 25-26 budget must be submitted by December 15th, prior to the holiday break. Our March interim reporting for the same 25-26 year are due on May 15th of 2026. Before I turn to any questions you may have, I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to a large group of people that worked very hard to put this budget presentation together. To our Executive Council, system principals, and department leads for their invaluable input and contributions, to Tiffany Hayes in the HR department for their tireless work and staffing for the 25-26 school year, to Nancy Chiquetto, who was also here to help answer questions tonight, and the finance department for the hours and hours of input required to establish this budget. Truly a team effort, and we are very pleased with what we have presented to you this evening. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Chair, for any questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Guilbeault. We'll open up the floor to questions now. Trustee Cosmerly, please.
First of all, I want to say good job. Like, in this day and age right now, the fact that, like, we knew that there would probably be a deficit because that's basically what all boards are dealing with, but it's not a horrendous deficit, which is great. And just a couple of questions. The first about tariffs. I know there has been talk at the OPSPA table about requesting the government to support additional costs that that boards may be incurring because of the additional costs related to tariffs. Has anything been said about that? I'm expecting no, but I figured I would ask.
Through you, Chair. No, nothing explicit. We do monitor costs where we expect that we might see those type of increases through potential tariffs, namely in the IS budget, maybe potentially in the facilities budget. We haven't seen those to date have a significant impact, but as part of our procurement policy, we would make sure that we are looking at other options, and of course the ministry has indicated that, you know, we are to buy in Canada where we can.
Go ahead.
Supplemental. I continue to be very concerned about the spec ed budget. And I saw that we've had to draw from the reserves in order to balance our budget for special education. You have indicated that there is more funding that's coming in spec ed. Do you see that will be enough, or do you anticipate that we may have to go into reserves again, seeing that our reserves are going down for spec ed? Thank you.
Through you, Chair. We are certainly keeping a close eye on the pattern of increases, and worked very closely with Superintendent Washnuk and the Special Education Department to kind of understand what the impact is from a long-term perspective. I did note that this is still considered an interim formula for the ministry. So it is our intention to properly assess the impact that it has on our board and be able to share that information with them in real time as we go forward, and protecting our ability to serve students in the proper way.
Good. Further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. First of all, Adam, on behalf of all of us, we wanted. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trustee Hunda. I didn't see your hand.
It's okay. Just quickly through you, Chair Farrow, to Adam. Again, I want to send my appreciation out to yourself and the whole finance department, HR department, everyone, principals, vice principals, everybody that works on this. It's an incredibly time-consuming, very, very, as we can see, as you present, it's quite complicated. But I think that I share my confidence with my colleague, Trustee Cosmerly, because I was quite worried about where we were going to end up when we kept repeatedly hearing the talk about deficits coming through. But I'm so proud of all the work that's been done, whereas we've been able to maintain the program, the wonderful programs that we have. And I appreciate how hard everyone works to ensure that we maintain what we have, and that we're prepared to, like, we're watching carefully on how much we're going to have to use out of our reserves. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that coming to the board, and I appreciate the presentation where it is so refined that all of the trustees can easily follow it and understand, and that too has to be difficult. So I thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Trustee Hunda. I'll do one more check of any comments, questions for Superintendent of Business. Seeing none, Adam, on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you, as well as the team, the financial team, the HR team, everybody who works so hard in a very, very short timeline to put this information together. I think what I gleaned from what you presented today, once again, it's a good news budget for this year coming up. Small deficit, but there's no cuts in programs and services. We are certainly keeping an eye on long-term issues. I mean, you've got that well handled. Just wanted to say that we're very much appreciative to it, and we know you've worked hard because you've almost lost your voice, and I hope you're feeling better relatively soon. So with that, thanks once again for your presentation. We'll move on with the rest of our business. Next part of the agenda, notice of absence. All trustees are present this evening, and we'll move to the director's remarks. So Director Bourget, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Farrow. And I would like just to take a quick moment to publicly also add my thanks and appreciation to Superintendent Guilbeault and Manager of Finance Nancy Chiquetto for all their hard work to prepare this draft budget for trustees this evening. It's already been stated, but as you know, this was shared by the ministry late in May, and there's been a tremendous amount of work done in a very short period of time to prepare for today. And, Superintendent Guilbeault is maybe wearing some of the effects of that in terms of his voice, but he's battled through everything to be ready for today, and I greatly appreciate it. And there's many people involved in all that, and I know that he's thanked everyone, but I want to add my appreciation. Also want to add, at some point, Chair Farrow, I think we'll be sharing some celebrations of our students on a provincial and national level. But this information is just in, so I'm going to add it to that celebration just in advance of Chair Farrow's remarks. You will remember we had a presentation from our science fair competitors that advanced to nationals. And we just found out that Felix Nagy, a Llewellyn Park student, won the bronze medal at the National Science Fair for his project Biogen, which stands for Bone Implant Optimization and Generation for Enhanced Reconstruction. So that project was just straight in front of me against the wall, and he had used a variety of tools to create all kinds of wonderful implant structures, and his efforts were rewarded with a bronze medal on the national stage. So I just want to add that to the many celebrations that we have of our students, again, on a provincial and national level. So that's wonderful news. And I'll end my remarks with some announcements of administrative appointments and transfers. So I'm going to go through my list at this point. So Tim Najawan will be appointed System Principal of Indigenous Education effective August 20th. Travis Corbier will be appointed as Co-System Principal of Indigenous Education effective August 18th, 2025. And in the past, we've had up to 3 administrators in this department, and we did have some changes. This will make our team whole, and it will also allow us to look at a different model based on geography to be very responsive to needs and improve our connection and relations. So this is the adjustment we've made, and we're looking forward to working with both of them in that new capacity. Other administrative appointments and transfers. Vice Principal Chelsea Ouimet will be appointed as Acting Principal of C.R. Judd effective August 20th. Vice Principal Katrina Nadeau will be appointed as Acting Principal of Redwood Acres Public School effective August 20th. Vice Principal Vicky Zamantis will be appointed as Acting Principal of Lively District Secondary School effective August 20th. Vice Principal Yves Poirier will be appointed as Acting Principal of Confederation Secondary School effective August 20th. Principal Lorianne Leocons will be transferred to Restart O'Connor Park Continuing Education and PLAR effective August 20th. Principal Susan Kett will be transferred to Barrydown College effective August 20th. Vice Principal Kim Reisinger will be transferred to Vice Principal of Algonquin Road Public School effective August 20th. Vice Principal Sandy McEwen will be transferred to Vice Principal of Princess Anne Public School effective August 20th. Vice Principal Aaron Ferguson will be transferred to Vice Principal of Sudbury Secondary School effective August 20th. Acting Vice Principal Daniela Catesta will be transferred to Acting Vice Principal of Northeastern Elementary School effective September 2nd. Acting Vice Principal Chris Claridge will be transferred to Acting Vice Principal of LaSalle Intermediate effective September 2nd. Joanne Alexander will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of LaSalle Elementary School effective September 2nd. Stephanie Gemmel will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of RLBD Public School effective September 2nd. Chantel Camito will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of Valley View Public School effective September 2nd. Stephanie Moyle will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of Redwood Acres Public School effective September 2nd. Dane McVeigh will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of Confederation Secondary School effective September 2nd. Laura Coleman will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of LaSalle Secondary School effective September 2nd. And Miranda Lassard will be appointed Acting Vice Principal of Llewellyn Park Secondary School effective September 2nd. I would like to very sincerely express my gratitude to our incredible team of principals and vice principals for their ongoing leadership, and dedication, and commitment to our families, our students, our staffs, and our communities. We are so very fortunate to have such great people in such important leadership roles. Thank you, Chair Farrell.
Thank you, Director Bourget. I know I'm getting old when former students of mine are being appointed to principalship. So well done. Thank you very much for that. We'll move on to our other items, and we'll go to Trustee Cosmley for the OPSA Director's Report.
Just very short for tonight. The OPSPA Annual General Meeting is coming up in 2 days' time in Niagara-on-the-Lake. A full agenda of guest speakers and meetings has been planned. The meeting part will include, among other things, election of a first vice president to fill the current vacancy. 5 trustees are vying for this position, and it should be an interesting race. Elections will also be held for regional positions and for OPSPA working groups. Bill Steer has been acclaimed as regional chair for the Northern Region, and to date, no one has submitted their name for the vice chair position. Directors will also be voting on 4 new policies and on changes to OPSPA's awards programs. The criteria have been changed for some of the awards to better align with OPSPA's strategic directions, and a couple of new awards are being suggested. All in all, it should be a busy 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cosmerly. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to student trustees. And Trustee Wilson-Ziegel is going to start tonight. Go ahead.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Trustee Nuchtai and I are very pleased to announce that we have selected our incoming senators for next year's Student Senate term. We are excited to introduce Adriana Taveras and Alex Menard from Sudbury Secondary School, Morgan Dedman from Manitoulin Secondary School, Sadie Gardner from Lockerbie Composite School, Taya Montgomery and Miles Deenan from LaSalle Secondary School. So congratulations to these students. However, we are still looking for students interested from Llewellyn Composite School, Lively, Barry Down, and Confederation. Next year, these schools will have little to no representation on the Senate, and the current Senate is working hard to recruit more students, and any applications submitted will be reviewed in September. The reason for this may be a decline in student participation our Senate has noted in their schools at several meetings. If you know any students who would be a good candidate, please reach out to them or put them in contact with the current Student Senate. Our Senate year-end dinner is tomorrow night. Incoming, transitional, and outgoing senators will all be present, making this an opportunity to say both hello and goodbye. This year's Student Senate has truly been a pleasure to chair, and I am very sad to say goodbye. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and thank you.
Awesome short report for myself as well. So hello everyone and good evening. I hope you all are having an amazing Tuesday. It has been an absolute pleasure to be co-chairing this year's Student Senate and welcoming our incoming student trustees. Justin Wilson-Ziegel and I are working on transitioning the upcoming Senate and preparing our incoming student trustees for their upcoming term. Our transition guide will include materials such as Robert's Rules, creating agendas, and organizing the Student Senate calendar. Additionally, they will have the opportunity to attend all of Osta ACO's triannual conferences. This year's Student Senate consists of preparation for our Stand Up Speak Out, drafting and creating announcements to scripts to present to all Rainbow schools, and senators sharing their own individual school experiences. As mentioned during our trustee visits, we strongly encourage all trustees to scout out and research for students who may feel like they would benefit from being on the Student Senate. The application form can be found in schools, typically in the guidance department, or via the link in our Instagram bio. Thank you all, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Any questions for our student trustees? Seeing none, once again, just a huge thank you from all of us for your service to the Rainbow District School Board this past year. We'll move on to trustees' remarks and questions. Trustee Hunda online. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. Just quickly, first and foremost, and I'm probably glad that I wasn't able to be there in person because I'd be probably getting all teary-eyed, but I just want to add my thank you to our 2 outgoing student trustees. I will have some words for you privately tomorrow, but I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you gave. It is so impressive for me year after year to watch how you grow from when you first come in at the beginning of the year until you leave. These trustees have worked so hard, and they are certainly young people that we can be proud of that represented our board. And you will be greatly, greatly missed. Lastly, I just want to mention that I hope everyone, I think grads are starting, and I want to hope everyone comes up with a few inspiring words for all those that are leaving us at all levels. Whether it's stepping up from in our elementary step-up ceremonies, our grade 8 grads, and our certainly high school grads. It's an exciting time, and it's a time for us to reflect on our positives, because when they're successful, that means we've been successful. So I hope everybody, this is probably my favorite time of year, So I hope everyone enjoys it, and I wish well to all of our students that are graduating, going on. I always tell them that we'll be watching where they go and what they do, and we wish them all the best. And I want to again thank Adam and the group for the budget, which is primarily certainly one of the big functions that we do. And year after year, we have never, in all my years of being here, this board has never had a deficit budget. We have always maintained and worked really, really hard. And this is something to be proud of. And I really, truly hope that the powers that be understand that this board works really hard to stay complicit and also to do the best we can with what we've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hunda. Further trustee remarks or comments? Trustee Cosmley, go ahead, please.
Just quickly, and this sort of segues into what Trustee Hunda just said. Besides being the busiest month of the year for trustees and school boards, June is also Indigenous History Month and Pride Month. I'm proud to be a member of the board's Equity and Inclusive Education Committee, and especially in these challenging times, I appreciate the opportunities the board offers students, staff, trustees, and communities to recognize, honor, and move forward together towards a world that embraces and celebrates all persons. Thank you.
Well said, Trustee Cosmley. Trustee Nujitai.
Thank you. So recently I've gotten the opportunity to attend different summits and sit on different conference action plans. So recently the senior advocacy sector on the leadership team had the opportunity to partner with OpenGov. So that is a reform for open government, and they're working on their 6th national action plan. So we had the opportunity to not only give our feedback, but also move forward with student engagement and the different opportunities that we could seek for the Open Government Task Force to work forward for student engagement, and specifically with Indigenous students in my sector. So the Open Government, their mission is to take accountability, provide transparency, and open and foster open discussions with all citizens in Canada. And during this conference and session that we had the opportunity, I spoke about Jordan's Principle, Truth and and the completed and non-completed Truth and Reconciliation calls to action, and how we can move forward with a democratic and open citizenship style discussion. Additionally, Asta Aiko is now partnering with Possibility Seeds, who was one of our keynote speakers at our most recent All General Meeting conference this past May. And Possibility Seeds is a nonprofit organization that fosters a school community such as consent on campus, and offering abilities for all students to come forth about their experience, and fostering movements such as the Me Too movement, and also creating a social media platform as well for students to move forward with their social media experience as well. And lastly, I had the opportunity to attend the People for Education, Education for Promise Summit this past week in Toronto, and I was asked to sit on the Democracy Roundtable discussion, which was very exciting. And this Democracy Roundtable discussion was putting forward different recommendations and different motions to different partners that People for Education is involved with. And one of the ones that I was able to speak very passionately about was mandating student trustees within all school boards, and really pushing forward for that entirely, because while they are all mandated, some schools, they either have not mandated them yet or do not have enough student engagement or student interest for that. And so I was able to not only speak about the importance of them being mandated, but how we can also increase student engagement. And I had the really amazing opportunity to meet so many different people to also help my own experience as a trustee. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Nujitai. Any further comments or remarks? Trustee Clement.
Very quickly, I attended the athletic awards last night at EHS. 180 people were there, and thank you to the kitchen for their supplying salads and lasagna. That was very nice for them, and so many great athletes. They did really well this year all over, and we're really pleased to hear that. Today, I went to the co-op luncheon. The kitchen made lasagna for us. I've had my fill of lasagna. So Dave Gallant, who was awarded Teacher of the Year and is retiring this year, and I want to thank him, and The original guy who started our co-op, Dave Fallett, was there still, and Dean Riggs also dropped by. And I was wondering if they had picked their person to take over, and it was Tim Greenell, that's his last name. And he'll be taking over for next year, and he's just thrilled about it. So everything's ready to go for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Clement. Any further remarks or questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to a few remarks that I have. So first and foremost, I wanted to echo what Trustee Hunda said, as we're into graduation season, so very important time of year to support our students at the culminating of successful school years. So looking forward to that. That all starts next week for most of us. Also, in a first for Rainbow District School Board, a grade 11 student from Lockerbie Composite School has captured gold at the Skills Canada National Competition. Ishohi Abambi placed first in the Workplace Health and Safety category. The competition was held in Regina, Saskatchewan from May 27 to 31st, 2025, with an impressive score of 87.01%. He demonstrated an extraordinary level of knowledge, a keen eye for identifying hazards, and an exceptional ability to communicate what means to be a young worker starting in a new job. So congratulations from all us here to Isohi. Emily Armitage, a grade 3 student from Assiniboine Public School, captured third place in the primary category of Spelling Bee of Canada National Championship held in Toronto last month. She won the honor to compete nationally by winning the regional spelling bee competition in Sudbury. Emily prepared for the competition by reading over word lists, playing mini spelling bees with her family, and being quizzed by her teachers. So congratulations to you, Emily. And here is something that is really incredibly special. Following a record-breaking season, Llewellyn Park Secondary School won the overall championship at OFSWA Track and Field this past weekend. They are the #1 track and field team in the province of Ontario. They accumulated more total votes than any other school in Ontario. At the event, Llewellyn student athletes reached the podium 10 times, garnering an impressive 3 golds, 1 silver, and 6 bronze medals, as well as a number of notable placements. This is truly an historic accomplishment. Our sincere congratulations goes to Coach Colin Ward and the track and field athletes from Llewellyn Park Secondary School. Well done, Llewellyn. And a reminder to parents and guardians that if you have children starting school this fall, you are invited to register them for kindergarten camp. Rainbow Elementary Schools will be offering the half-day program from Monday, August 25th to Thursday, August 28th. The deadline to register is June 23rd, and the link to register is available on the board's website. In this summer, the board will offer a variety of programs for summer school at the secondary level, including credit recovery, upgrading, new credits, cooperative education, and e-learning. The last day to register for summer school is Wednesday, July 2nd. For current and incoming Barrondown College students, a digital photography dual credit course will be available this summer. And more information is also available on our website. And this month, Rainbow Schools are challenged to create a pollinator garden to maintain biodiversity, support plant reproduction, and provide many other ecological services. Staff and students can also make houses for bees and delegate a no-mow zone in their schoolyard for habitat. And Sudbury Secondary School will mark a major milestone this fall with a weekend celebration in honor of 40 years of art education. From September 19th to 21st, the event will bring together alumni, staff, and supporters to commemorate the school's longstanding impact on the region's arts and cultural landscape. 3 events will be held over the course of the weekend, including a music night at Le Fromage Elgin, an arts extravaganza at the school, and a brunch at Idlewild Golf and Country Clubs. Tickets can be purchased online through Eventbrite. And it's a magical time of year for students whose achievements are celebrated at graduation ceremonies across the board, like I mentioned further. So graduations are taking place over the coming weeks. Trustees, I hope you enjoyed this opportunity to celebrate students' success and achievement. And for that, it concludes my remarks this evening. Thank you. So we're on to Section G. It's information and proposals for your perusal. We have reports from officials and staff. We have First Nation Advisory Committee minutes from September 19th and November 21st included in your package. We have a tender and request for proposal for Llewellyn Park Secondary School in your package, and non-staff communications, the OPSPA 2024-2025 Central Bargaining Invoice dated September 1st, 2024. So our next meeting, my friends, is on June 24th, 2025 at 5 p.m. And with no other business on our agenda, I will look for a motion for adjournment. And moved by Trustee Cosmerly, seconded by Trustee Clement. We are now stand adjourned at 6:05 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.